Hello and welcome to another episode of Chatty Tuesdays as I get punched in the face. And this week I am joined, well, you can see who's on the screen, or some semblance of him. I'm joined by the creator of Thorn. I should have asked you before we started, do you want me to address you as Andrew? What do you want to go by in this?
Address me as you please, good.
That doesn't help, but okay. But yeah, this is Thorn's creator, who's going to be talking to us a little bit about Thorn. And just, he's had quite a significant win this weekend on EWA TV at Trick and Treat, so I thought we'd talk about that as well. But first, welcome.
Good to be here. I feel like I've been on quite a hot streak since the tournament ended, at least.
Yeah, I can't remember who I was talking to this about, but it kind of, it crept up a little bit in a way, in that, you lost, I think, your opening couple of matches, and then I don't think you've lost since. I think you've just won everything since. It's sort of been an undetected hot streak, culminating in, well, not culminating necessarily, I'm not saying you're about to come off the hot streak, but so far, the latest development has been you winning the Trick and Treat briefcase, so quite the opportunity whenever you decide to use that. But yeah, before we talk about like really current stuff, I want to talk to you about Thorn, because he's one of our more interesting characters for sure. You know, in Fun Hinged with Taylor and Tornado, and I just want to dig deep on where exactly Thorn came from, because he's certainly unique. So, care to give a little bit of insight on how you came up with the character of Thorn, or the design, or any of that kind of stuff?
Well, I initially had made Thorn to be a rival of sorts to Taylor Osborne.
Okay.
Hence his Batman entrance originally.
Right, because of Taylor being kind of Joker-esque. Yeah, I get you.
Right, but then, you know, I decided I always wanted to make a like lunatic, something like Mankind, Dean Ambrose, something like unorthodox, crazy type. And seeing Taylor Osborne just made me think, you know what? I think I can out crazy this man. So let's give it a shot.
So yeah, and I believe. Oh, were you using a different wrestler when you first started? I'm struggling to remember a name, but I seem to remember you being someone else when you first joined EWA.
Yeah, when I first started with EWA, I was using that Andrew Sticks character.
Oh yeah, Andrew Sticks. Yeah, I could not bring that name to mind, but I remembered you not always being Thorn and was trying to bring it to mind. Yeah, Andrew Sticks. So was Thorn already? Did you already know Taylor Osborne from another group, or was that your main core, and then joining EWA and meeting Taylor made you think, I know, here's a new character kind of thing?
No, I had met Taylor Osborne as soon as I joined EWA. I didn't really know anything outside of EWA until I joined. Like, I had joined one group's Facebook page before joining, and then nothing came of it, didn't get contacted by anyone.
Okay.
So EWA's been my first online league.
Oh, I never knew that. Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
I that kind of surprises me, because you took to it so well, but at the same time, I do think sometimes it's a bit like sometimes with people that are super experienced in leagues. Oh, I don't even know what I did there, but with people that are like really experienced in leagues, I feel like you're trying to train out old habits, whereas I've just discovered there's a whole new set of moves that you can do on this game. Oh well, unlucky you. Yeah, you're trying to train out old habits, what we would call bad habits, I guess, whereas when it's someone who's new to the concept, you're kind of drawing on a blank canvas, so it's maybe easier. It's, you know, so maybe that's why you took to it so well. I never asked, but I always kind of assumed you had done something else before, but there you go. You clearly hadn't. So you joined EWA, and you were having matches with Sticks, and we do dark matches a lot. I mean, I'm not really in that scene. I don't really do all that many, but I assume you saw Taylor and were like, I want to make a rival to him, or did a natural rivalry develop and you were like, I need a more suitable character, or like what led to Thorn becoming a thought, if you like?
Well, it was really more so, you know, with that Andrew Six gimmick, I just wasn't doing anything with him. I had a hard time winning any kind of matches. But what really set it off was we did our one ladder match in my debut on the main roster. And just because Taylor Osborne was in that match, we wound up winning it. It just made me think, here's someone that's like a bit insane and good at getting stuff done in the ring. So maybe I could give it a shot and hopefully do it better.
Yeah, it's coming back to me now. Didn't you debut in basically what became Trick and Treat, like you in our version of Money in the Bank, if you like? Yeah, you were in the
I was on our proving ground, which is essentially NXT.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
My debut match was pay-per-view, which is.
Yeah, I seem to remember you taking to it quite well, and I was like, I think. I mean, I don't want to take all the credit. I think, we all agreed on it, but, it was kind of... I'm not even going to go out and say I brought it up, because I really don't know. My memory's not that good. But it came up that it was like, this guy could take to it well enough that it wouldn't be too much of a risk to debut him in such a big match. So, yeah, we were like, yeah, let's have a surprise entrant kind of thing, and it'd be a call-up, and it'd be Andrew Sticks, yeah. It's coming back to me now. It's a while ago. It must be 2+ years ago. Are we doing laps? So while we're having a run, I want to bring up what's become I don't know if it's deliberately been a signature or if I've kind of inadvertently made it that on commentary. Thorn's always barefoot. What's up with that, as the Hurricane would say?
Well, he comes from a long line of mental institutions, and first thing there is they take your shoes away so you can't hang yourself.
Okay, so nice jolly reason, very good.
Yeah, so he's just become comfortable with no shoes, so much that he doesn't own any.
Fair enough. And seems to refuse to buy any, as proven by his Big E cosplay. Oh, I left count out song. Well, that was silly, wasn't it? Let's get you back in. Yeah, as proven by his Big E cosplay, where he didn't even bother getting matching boots. But yeah, so. You've been Thorn for a lot longer than you were Andrew Sticks with us, though, haven't you? Like, it's been a while since you made... Because I think I remember Thorn sort of appearing in dark matches and stuff, but it was a while before... It was probably a new game, and we did a bit of a reset, and you were like, I don't want to use Andrew Sticks anymore, right? I think...
Yeah, Thorn didn't become my main guy till we started the first time around in 2K19.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, and that was our second game, I believe. I think we started on 18.
I started out in 18.
Yeah. So, okay, cool. And so he started out as a rival. How did it end? Because my main recollection of Thorn has always been as a teammate for Taylor Osborne. So, like, how did the change come about from being designed to be a rival to him to you guys being like, hey, we should team up? Who approached who about that? Whose idea was it? All that good stuff.
Well, Scott and I had been gaming with each other for a while before I started using Thorn.
Yeah.
But it ultimately came to the storyline we wound up doing, involving Robert and Jake Easy.
Yeah, the Proven, then, I remember them, yeah.
Yeah, and Fancy Freddy at the time.
Yeah.
Who people who are watching now won't know, but...
People who are watching now won't know, but they do know Fancy Freddy. They know his creator anyway. My co-commentator on the EWA Weekly Show used to control Fancy Freddy, yeah, absolutely, when he had a bit more free time to play some video games. So yeah, they know the guy behind Fancy Freddy, but they've never seen Fancy Freddy, and I think that's a travesty. But go on, yeah. So it was.
But, we had that storyline of Tornado just showed up, so Taylor Osborne had numbers to use. Yeah. And we just had that triple threat tag storyline leading into myself and Fancy Freddy joining Front Names. as kind of a surprise.
I'll be honest, I don't... Whoa, hello. Whoa! Nice move. I don't remember exactly what led to you guys joining Funhinge now. There's been so many storylines over so many years, like, some of it unfortunately gets a bit lost. Oh.
Well, if I remember correctly, it was, the Proven kept, like, doing 2-on-1, attacks against myself and Fantasy Freddy at different opportunities. And, Taylor Osborne would come out and save us to try and hint, like, hey, maybe there's something here.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough, yeah. See, I remember Andrew Sticks, and I remember your debut, now you've reminded me, but I don't remember that, so it just shows, not everything sticks with me. No pun intended, we're just talking about Andrew Sticks, but yeah. Not everything stays in my mind, clearly, some of it is gone forever. But, yeah, so you guys end up being a team, and, well, it clicked, to be perfectly honest, you know, it's been a great team since you got together, really. Were you always going to be a team when this season started out, or was there any debate about maybe not going down that route, you know, going for something a bit different with it having been done for a bit?
Scott and I have talked at length about some point down the line having a rivalry between Osborne and Thorn, but at the moment we're liking the way Funhinge is going. I mean, can't complain too much when we have the briefcase.
Yeah, exactly. It's a fun team, and it's being a reasonably successful, like, oh, hello, 2 out of the 3 members were 2 out of the 3 members of the main event of Trick and Treat. You know, you guys are doing something right, and that's no slight on a Tornado either. You know, he's every bit as good, I would say, as either of you guys, just maybe not got hit his stride yet this year, so people haven't quite seen that, but he's just as capable as anyone in EWA, really.
Oh, for sure. No, Scott and I have done some dark matches with Tornado, and his kick-out game is strong when he's focused.
Yeah.
It's just getting that actual focus in.
Yeah, and I think people do see a big psychological difference, like the players, I mean, between like dark matches and important league matches. Like, I think you said this to me before, that sometimes you feel like when there's a big match, you know, a #1 contender match, or like this weekend, the Trick and Treat ladder match, in the past you would have sort of blown that, you know, you wouldn't have performed as well, but seems like you've overcome that.
Let's hope that trend stays for now.
Well, yeah, because at some point you're gonna have to win yourself a title match, because you can't cash in sort of Money in the Bank style. It's got to be in a pre-announced match. But speaking of that, seeing as you've got that briefcase, do you have any? I mean, Thorn doesn't always strike you as a man with a plan, but you're not Thorn, you're just the creator, you know, you're not the same personality as him. But, yeah, do you have any thoughts? Like, there's a EWA Championship match coming up at the next show, currently between Payne and Drake Doobie, unless anything changes. That's 2 formidable wrestlers. Are you going to try and hang on to the briefcase for a bit, pick your opportunity? Or do you see the fact that you have to defend the briefcase as a big disadvantage and you want to cash it in as early as possible? Or, third option, do you not want to give away what you're thinking?
Well, as far as Thorn, I don't think it's safe to say he's thinking ever.
Yeah.
But as far as myself, you know, I've not fought Drake Doobie yet, so I think that'd be a fun opportunity to see what we can pull off.
Yeah. So are you trying to cash in before the chance for him to lose the title, or are you waiting and seeing what happens, or, again, do you not want to say?
Well, I think I'll wait and see what happens, because if Doobie holds on to it, great. That'll give us, hopefully, a chance to tangle in the ring.
Yep.
If Payne happens to win, I mean, people have seen the match that I had with him in the tournament. That was by no means a one-way fight.
No, you gave him a real one.
Either side easily could have won that match.
Yeah, I remember was commentating on that and me kind of saying, you know, he fought a straight-up fighter in week 1 and did fine, but then Thorn and his antics really threw him off his game. You know, you've got and I think that's the sort of the in-character explanation, but out of character, the other explanation is Thorn's probably got a whole lot of moves on his moveset that that Payne's player isn't used to trying to counter and stuff. You know, you can really throw someone off the game by having different reversal timing than they're used to as well. Because there's a lot of moves that an awful lot of creator superstars have when you play online, because they're notoriously hard to reverse. The only problem with that is, once everyone's got it, it becomes easier to reverse because you're prepared for it. So then your alternate moveset, which is more character based and, if I'm being honest, more interesting, you know, suddenly becomes a problem for people because they're not used to fighting those particular moves. So that's probably where a lot of your advantage came from that prioritizing character. Which is,
yeah, you know,
I'd say it's something I've always
always
liked about Thorn as well, is that prioritizing character.
Well, that's something I've always tried to do with the wrestlers I've made, is not make the move set to be competitive, but make the move set to fit the character.
Yeah, that's what I do when I create a wrestler on games as well, and you can tell as well when you see someone who's done that as opposed to someone who's made a hard to fight moveset. You can tell the difference, like, once you know the games. And I always appreciate it, you know, I always see those characters and think, and you can tell by the in-ring style as well, like, there was moments in that trick and treat match where you and Taylor were facing off and you both instinctively just taunted at the same time, you know, and just, you know, you'd sit down in the corner and Taylor would just laugh or something, and it's, those moments are what tell me, you know, this is someone who likes the character side of wrestling as well as just wanting to win on a video game. You know, and that's always something we've sort of liked in EWA, because we're not your bog standard, really try hard league. You know, where wins and losses are the only thing that matters. They do matter, but they're not the only thing. So, and it's working for you as well. Like, you know, God only knows what sort of run you'd be on if you were super try hard, because you're doing pretty well for yourself without being like that. So.
I'd be afraid of what kind of run I'd be on if I was try hard, because I don't often go try hard, so it's a scary sight for me even. Fair
enough. There you go. Everyone has been warned. If you pull it out of him, you're in trouble. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, like, watching Thorn, even just over the weeks that we've been on YouTube, like, discounting everything that happened before, which, you know, a lot of it was a lot of fun. The bits that I remember, the just the bits on YouTube, it's really fun to commentate. It's really fun to hear Blackbane's reactions.
Well, I'm loving hearing Blackbane's reactions.
Yeah, there's kind of a bit of a thing brewing with him and Funhinged. I think people can tell. You know, he's getting called out by Taylor Osborne on it now, and you know, that's something to keep interested in. But yeah, just his reactions to your characters in general, all three of you are great. And I remember the first time you came out, and I just said, yep, here you go, you take this one. You know, because I knew what was coming, but I sort of had an inkling he'd forgotten a lot of the characters, and he didn't react as soon as Thorn, like, was announced kind of thing, so I was like, okay, so we need him to see the dancing and everything, and remind him of Thorn. And yeah, you could tell, like, part of that surprise and confusion was real. But, yeah, it's, I'm looking forward to seeing what Thorn does if he cashes in successfully, what he does as champion. Like, you've hinted at the fact that you and Taylor want to one day have a rivalry. I think it's a long way away because, you know, Funhinged have a great team going. But at the same time, you know, those great teams eventually make the best breakups, and we've got a lot of time. You know, there's no plans for EWA to go anywhere. We're going weekly until we've been going longer than Raw, preferably. So.
Right, and well, just simply because of the dynamic of Funhinged, I could honestly see Thorn being the first to leave if it came to it, just simply because
the other two
Tornado and Taylor are actual brothers, and Thorn's more of that adopted by crazy kind of brother.
Yeah, I'd love one day for us to sit down and come up with an actual backstory of who found who and why and how. Because I can imagine that would be an interesting story to tell, even if it's completely fabricated.
well, I can tell you right now where they found me.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. You guys have put some thought into this, have you?
Well, I don't know that they have, but I have.
Okay, let's hear the Thorn side of the story. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, as maybe people know, Thorn lives under the ring.
Oh yeah, we haven't made a lot of reference to that. Yeah, in the series, but yeah, I definitely remember that being a factor of his character. Yeah.
So yeah, Thorn lives under the ring. So as he does, Taylor Osborne's trying to get his trusty baseball bat, and there he sees Thorn and his roommates playing Twister as they do every Wednesday night.
His roommates being Tabitha the table, Charlie the chair. Am I missing anyone? Probably.
Oh, you're missing a lot of people, but those are the main two.
Those are the best friends. Okay.
Those are the two that want to be named.
So Taylor sees them and goes, "Yep, I gotta get in on this." This looks like my kind of crew.
Oh, definitely.
My kind of crew. Yeah, we've seen a little bit of that as well, because at first, with it being like a tournament, we were so focused on getting like all the matches done and first champion crowned, and I was suddenly like, we're not presenting, like, the entrances make these guys unique and what have you, but we're not doing these guys justice with how we're presenting them. So like, I don't think it's too much of a peek behind the curtain for me to say, like, I messaged you and was like, hey, so from now on in your matches, like, let's try and get like Charlie set up in the corner, and if there's a table available, try and get Tabitha involved, you know, because obviously you can't get a table out in normal match types, but if there's an opportunity to, you know, get Thorn's friends involved, you know, so you know, and other people don't necessarily have permission to start stacking chairs in corners during a normal match, because even though you wouldn't get disqualified for it in the game because of its weird rules, it's a bit cheap really to start using that to do damage. But I know you're going to use it for a story for a story device rather than to cheat kind of thing, so it's sort of like okay for you. It's like a unique aspect of Thorn, and yeah, we're trying to get those unique stories told through matches now, which, you know, should make it even more interesting as we go forward.
Right, and that actually brings me to another story from Thorn before YouTube started.
Okay.
I remember there was one point when I was first using Thorn that Scott and I had decided we were going to do a tag match, but I wasn't going to have a tag partner. My partner was going to be me putting Charlie in the corner and just having a 2-on-1 handicap match.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah, absolutely. I do somehow recall. Was that part of that proven storyline?
I think it was.
Weren't they the tag champions, and you qualified to be the challenger, but no one knew who your partner was going to be?
I think so. I'm pretty sure that's how it happened.
Yeah, and then I think that might be then when Taylor made the save, and that yeah, it's coming back to me. I think, wasn't that sort of the start of Funhinge, kind of? Like, that was at that start point, wasn't it? You chose Charlie, and then we had because obviously you can't actually set up a handicap match on the game.
Right.
Unfortunately. So we had Scott be the tag partner, but start like out of shot at the top of the ramp, and then during the match, obviously they eventually get the advantage because it's 2-on-1, and then Taylor came down and sort of helped you make the save. Yeah, it's ringing a bell.
Yeah, something like that.
It's ringing a bell vaguely. Yeah, it's coming back to me slowly but surely. But yeah, exactly. So we could see Thorn and Charlie team up. Who knows? Who knows? Anything can happen in EWA, and it actually can.
Especially with Thorn.
Yeah. So, speaking of Trick and Treat, that was just this past weekend, what made you choose Big E? Was it just that you wanted Thorn to do the entrance, or was there more to it than that? Well, the main appeal for me was the entrance, I'm not going to lie.
Well, initially, I was going to be using, I wanted to use Matt Riddle, but he's not in 19, he's in 20.
Yeah. And if he was in 19, I think Drake Doobie would have had dibs on him.
Well, we would have fought for it. That's all I'm saying on that one. But no. And then my second thought was I was going to use Alexa Bliss, but
the game won't let you.
It won't let you put on female attire with a male.
Yeah, such a shame, because that would have been a hell of a sight to see. That would have been great.
Well, especially with, you know, using the Funhinge Thorn with his ponytails and all.
Pigtails, yeah, it would have worked. Yeah, it would have been like a Harley Quinn style Alexa Bliss.
Right, but so then it ultimately just came down to who has an entrance that would work for Thorn.
Yep. Well, I think you got one.
Yep, and then came Biggie, which
So
Scott
it's
and I were
mostly
talking
based on the
about it.
entrance, because I thought it might have been, to be honest.
Oh yeah, it 100% was because of the entrance.
Yeah.
But Scott and I were talking about it after I had told him that I was using Big E, and he's like, I'm glad I said who I'm using before you did, because we both know Mike would have had all 3 members of Fun Hinge play as the New Day.
I mean, I was honestly like, yeah, I would love that, and I think someday if we get an excuse to sort of play on that a little bit, it would be a fun little tribute. Maybe not as on the nose as actually having their full attire on, but maybe just once Funhinge could do a team entrance as the New Day and have New Day coloured gear kind of thing or something, just as a bit of a shout out. But yeah, no, one of the main appeals of that trick and treat was I didn't know who everyone was going to be. I was like, until people started uploading their wrestlers on, and I was starting to see like what they'd made, I didn't really try and have too much input. Maybe I asked people, but I didn't be like, hey, why don't you be? Because I was sort of like, I sort of want to... The only one I had any input on was Taylor, funnily enough, because Scott asked me and was like, and we were going through the whole list of people being like, nah, that wouldn't be funny, yeah, that'd be kind of funny, yeah, no, that wouldn't be funny. And then he's uploaded on his Funhinge YouTube channel, it's a legitimate 5-way, where his was decided because we couldn't decide between 5, so he just put them in a match together, basically, and the winner got to be who Taylor dressed as. So that was about as much as input as I really had on that. But,
yeah, and I've watched his YouTube video on that. That match was so good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's funny how we're going a bit off the beaten track here, but that's part of the fun of this. It's Chatty Tuesdays, not super formal conversation Tuesdays. But yeah, in that match, it's funny how many Taylorisms the AI still gets in. Like, it still very much behaves a lot like Taylor. Like, dude, like, there's a couple of points where, like, one of them will try and laugh, and then someone else will hit him, and then the one that just hit him will then laugh. And it was like, it's like watching 5 Scots play. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I've done a match once where I put Thorn and Taylor Osborne against each other, both of them being AIs, and I legit thought it was me and Scott wrestling that match.
Yeah, it's funny how I think because of how well you two have built your characters to be quite personality based rather than trying to win based. Even the AI can't help but pick up on the mannerisms. It's just sort of natural. That's the play style kind of thing. So yeah, it's just testament to how well made the characters are, and then your success is then how well played you've done, how well you've played as in. But it's 2 different sort of skills. Oh, you're going all the way over there apparently. I thought you'd stop somewhere near the middle, but apparently not. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far, and can't wait to see what happens, because obviously if you haven't cashed it in within 4 weeks from this last Saturday, then there's a defence on the horizon. Potentially up to, 11 defences, because the contract runs a year, so you could potentially have to defend every month for a year, and then have to cash it in on the deadline. But I would imagine it probably won't go that long, but there's every possibility. Depends on if you see an opportunity, a person you want to fight, because that's the problem. Is in theory, if you don't, like you said, you want to fight Drake Doobie, but you want to wait to see what happens with him and Payne first. Well, if Payne wins, then in theory he just beat the existing champion, so it just got harder, and then whoever beats Payne, it just got harder again. So it's one of those dilemmas, isn't it, where the longer you wait, the sort of, theoretically, the harder the opponent is. Because they beat the person you were
to that point,
in
it also becomes, is it just the champion had an off night, or is it he actually found someone who just has their number?
Yeah, exactly. And the whole thing is, it's sort of like this big, really super elaborate game of rock, paper, scissors, isn't it? Where, like, just because Payne beat Drake Doobie and CJ, for example, beat Payne to qualify for the Double Jeopardy match, that doesn't mean that CJ beats Drake Doobie. There's every chance Drake Doobie can then beat CJ. It doesn't instinctively mean that there's this solid pecking order where this person is always better than this person. he's always better than this person. It's so fluid and changeable, and that's what's fun about it. Is you can have like, you know, you and Payne could go at it again and you win this time. You know, like, because last time it was a really close match. Or similarly, you and Payne could go at it and it could be a really not very close match, you know, and he could really have your number next time, but then the time after you could beat him. It's so changeable. And speaking of not very close matches and having people's numbers, we can't not talk about the whole issue between Thorn and Cody. Like,
I was just about to bring that one up.
Yeah,
we were talking about this.
Yeah, I think this is a good end point, and a good final sort of conversation point to have. What went, like, because we both know the guy behind Cody. He's not been on the show yet, but he's keen to, so we will talk to him at some point. We know he's a damn good player, and you know he's another one who's quite character based, but also knows damn well what he's doing, you know, on the game. What genuinely was going through your head when you beat him in like 2 minutes, like in that beat the clock challenge? Like, because that, I don't think people can expect to beat him, you know, have confidence in themselves, but I don't think you would ever bet on anyone to beat him in 2 minutes, anyone in the entire EWA, like, at all. So what was going through your head?
No, so honestly, I thought at first that like there was a pin glitch. I thought for sure he hit it, but it decided, no, you didn't actually hit it.
Yeah, we're going to have to do a redo here because something's gone wrong. Yeah. And then it wasn't.
But then it wasn't, and I was like, so this actually happened.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then
I was as shocked as you and Blackbane were on commentary when it happened to me.
Yeah, and the thing was, it was like Cody had gone 3-0 in the tournament. He'd just run through people, basically. Like, not completely decimating people in, like, a couple of minutes, but he'd been pretty convincing in every match. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of doubt he was qualifying for the title match. And then it's the night before the title match, and it's a beat the clock challenge, and he's the one who's got to beat the clock. You're almost just there as the fall guy, you know, no disrespect, but everyone who's in the title match was sort of expecting to be on a roll and pick up the win in those matches, you know. So it just completely flipped the script. Like, it was like, wait, what? Like, never mind the time got beat. The time got beat by the wrong guy. You know, it was like, what's going on here? And for everyone watching, like, that was a legit beat the clock challenge. Like, we had it all set up in a massive group chat where people had to declare the time, and we uploaded the videos in the order that they were really done. So it really was, you know, people trying to beat that time, in like you saw in the video. And yeah, then fortunes just changed. Cody didn't have a good performance in the Double Jeopardy match. You had a good performance in your 6-man target, the Sunday special. What was it called? Genesis. And then we had a rematch the following week, and you beat him again. And you know, I still haven't actually done the research. Was it quicker? I don't actually know. It
was 4 seconds longer in the second match.
So just a quick
4 seconds longer.
How did you time that? Did you actually time it on a stopwatch?
I did, actually, yeah.
Yeah, because a fun little tidbit, the match timer doesn't actually go exactly 1 second per second. It's a little bit out. So if we actually used a match timer to time it, it might be quicker. Like, your 2:16 might have been realistically more like a 2:21, 2:22. I don't know. I don't know exactly what the difference is, but the match timer is a little bit faster. If you let it run down a full hour, it doesn't take a full hour. It's weird. I don't know why. Just 2K being 2K, I guess. So we might have to run a replay on next week's show with the match timer on and see. You might have actually got a quicker result. But 2:16 is too perfect of a time.
And it's just that 1 minute away from Stone Cold.
Yeah,
and it's like, yep.
Exactly. It's almost plagiarism, but you did it a minute quicker than to make it plagiarism. But yeah, so then you beat him again, and you must have been like, holy cow. Like, in the same sort of time. Because we were joking with Cody, like, because I was saying to him, like, this could be quite an interesting story, actually, like a crisis of confidence kind of thing, you know, where suddenly he just can't pick up a win. But we never actually told him to throw that match. He was genuinely trying again, you know, like, there was never a conversation of, but don't try and win this match. You know, it was another genuine match. It was an idea in the works at that point. You know, where it was like, well, we could do this, but let's see how the rematch goes. Because if you know, go all guns blazing and drop him down into grey health and like properly decimate him, then that's another direction we go with the story, you know. So we were like, let's see which way it goes, and then that happened, and we were like, wow, he's got your number.
Right, and I imagine had he beat me in the grudge match, you know, this coming up Saturday special, whenever it is, I'd imagine we'd have that rubber match to
yeah,
finalize.
possibly, yeah. That would have been a good story beat to go for, yeah, absolutely. But he didn't. He lost again in 2 minutes something, and just wild. And then and again, none of this has been rigged. It's just sometimes you genuinely can't write it to be as good as it comes out by accident, you know, and just by pure chance. You and him are the first two to qualify for the final, and then, as if it wasn't hard enough on him having to face you in the final, Taylor Osborne qualifies as well, and he has to deal with both of you, and then you pick up the win again. So 3 Saturdays in a row you've beaten Coyote Cody now. It's just writing itself really nicely at the moment.
Yeah, and that match was so fun to wrestle to begin with, the ladder match. And
not in a bad way, as in, like, it didn't feel like it dragged, but it felt longer. I think it was only a 10-minute ladder match. It felt longer, not because it dragged, but because there was so much story beat in it. Like, there was so many moments that they couldn't have been crammed into 10 minutes. You know, like, when I was editing it, I remembered watching it, you know, like when you guys first uploaded it, and I was editing it, and I was like, have I chopped a bit off? Am I going to have to go and re-download the video? Like, I was like, where's the rest of this match? Because it was not 10 minutes long, but it was about that, and maybe pushing 11 minutes, but it had so many sort of cool moments and funny moments and really intriguing moments where, like, you and Taylor would square up and stuff, that it just didn't feel like it could have all fit into a 10-minute match, but it did, and it was really good fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, like, when Taylor Osborne was on the ladder that last time, right before I managed to hit him off to grab the briefcase, I thought for sure match was over. When I was doing that airplane spin, I thought for sure, he's gonna pull it off while I'm in the middle of his move.
Yeah, because that's a long animation. So, yeah. I'll be honest as well, I pitched Taylor on the idea of, like, getting all of you fighting up the ramp, and then letting you and Cody, like, fight it out, and him just literally running off and trying to win the match, like, and seeing if you two noticed or if you just, like, started beating on each other so much, because I thought that'd be a really funny sort of story beat, that you two were fighting, and Taylor was just like, well, I'll just let my teammate fight his main rival, I might as well win the match, you know, kind of thing. But he either didn't get the opportunity or decided against it. But I liked how it worked out almost more in a way, because it's interesting that from the start we introduced Taylor as the de facto leader of Funhinged, but Thorn's sort of the more successful member, which isn't a dynamic you get in real wrestling very much. Traditionally, the leader of the faction will be the one getting the world title matches, but because we're 90% legit, well, probably more than 90%, we've had very few rigged finishes so far, actually. It's sort of like an interesting dynamic that can happen, but with the nature of Funhinged, it doesn't automatically lead to a power struggle, because they don't seem to be motivated that way, you know. So it's a really weird dynamic that you would probably never get in a real wrestling product, you know, like on TV. So it's nice to have something truly unique.
Right, and, you know, it really just came down to, as far as that, like, you know, Scott was the most successful at the time when we first started the whole tournament.
Yeah.
But it just came down to who got the last hit, who got the last chance at the briefcase in that ladder match. And
yeah, and
it was me.
It was kind of fun to see Thorn pick up the win, like, because it does bring into question, like, as tight as Funhinged are, and as not power hungry as they seem to be. Winning the briefcase is one thing. If Thorn cashes in successfully, how's Taylor gonna feel about that. You know, like in character, it's an interesting story we could explore for sure. You know, it's a curious one. But I'm going to regret this because you're like, I've just used a finisher and you're like, oh god, and you're nearly full, and also I just belly flopped. But I think, unless there's anything in particular you want to add that I've not asked you about, and there's anything you want to discuss, I think we're pretty good now. I think we've had a pretty good episode of this, and leave it here, so we'll be finishing the match soon. Is there anything you want to add?
Well, just something from the Trick and Treat episode I'd like the viewers to know about. So, you weren't quite sure about the name of the ladder.
Oh, yes, yeah, I think I guessed Lucy, because it begins with L, so I just went with it.
Well, I'd like to set the record straight for everyone that the ladder is named Larry.
Larry, oh, okay. I hope Larry wasn't jealous. I hope you didn't get home that night and he was like, so who's Lucy? Like...
It definitely was a subject of conversation.
Yes,
but then I Love Lucy came on the TV and he forgot about it.
You'd have thought that would have triggered him more, but fair enough. But yeah, okay, my bad. Larry makes more sense. Same first two letters, I guess. Yeah, I can get with that. So we've got Charlie the chair, Tabitha the table, Larry the ladder. Anyone else? Anyone else you want to introduce us to? Stacey Stairs? I don't know.
Not at the moment. We'll save the introductions until they show up.
Fair enough. Does Taylor have a name for the bat? Do you know? Like, because Taylor's key weapon is the bat, and he's still not allowed to use the bat.
I don't think Taylor has a name for anything except for other wrestlers.
Yeah, that's something we need to get into, because I've spoken to Scott twice now on Chatty Tuesdays already in the first 6 weeks, but they've always been as admin Scott rather than creator of Taylor Scott, and I can't wait to deep dive into that. You know, like, and because the nicknames we haven't really used much on YouTube yet, but he just does it in the chat. So when he's setting up matches, you know, he'll just call people by Taylor's nickname for them. You know, and it's always funny. I think my favourite has always been calling the old character. What was his name? Thunder Anderson. I just blanked on his name for a second, calling him Eric after Eric the Viking. That was my favourite. But obviously Thunder's not currently in EWA. The player is, but he's using a different character. And have I spoken to him yet? I think I did.
You have, yeah.
Yeah, I think I did, right? Did we talk about Thunder at all? I can't remember.
I think you did, because I want to say he was talking about, you know, he wanted to switch because he's just done everything with it.
Yeah. That sounds about right. Yeah, so it's not a big secret then. Okay, so yeah, it's Cord who controls Alan Clark. I just didn't want to like reveal it in case he didn't want it saying for some reason. I don't know why he wouldn't,
right.
But you know, I just wanted to play it safe. But yeah, if he's already been on talking about it, then yeah, it's Alan Clark. Used to be a big, massive, like, he must have been about 6'10", this massive Viking character, must have been.
Oh, he was giant.
Yeah, and so Taylor, who's like 5'10" at tops, probably more like 5'6" or something, is like baiting this guy, calling him Eric the Viking and stuff. It was just fun. So yeah, I think we'll have to do an episode of this one day with all of Fun hinged on. I think that's a goal. Like,
that'll be more chaotic than anything you've done so far.
Yes, absolutely. And speaking of anything we've done so far...
As the pin's happening, I will tell you that Thorn does have some nicknames for people.
Okay.
Maybe we'll venture into those at some point. Maybe we won't. We'll just have to wait and see.
We're teasing a part 2. Very good. Booking yourself back in, like getting yourself a comeback. Very good. Very... Booking... gaining yourself another booking. I like it. You old
Gotta
carny,
get my name out there somehow.
You old carny. Yeah, absolutely. Thorn has a Twitter. I'll try and remember to plonk that in the description. Get some people to head over and follow. He's an interesting follow on Twitter. He has some thoughts and some things.
I don't know I'd say thoughts, but yeah, he's got an interesting one.
I didn't say they were coherent thoughts. I just said they were thoughts.
Okay, that's fair.
But yeah, so give Thorn a follow on Twitter. He's an interesting follow. I think I usually put all our social media stuff down there, like EWA's, but also I'll stick Thorn's in as he's our guest. And thank you very much for coming on. Thank you so much for everything you've done in EWA over the years. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with this trick and treat briefcase, and who knows? Hopefully for you anyway, maybe not for whoever's the champion at the time, but hopefully for you, a title reign in the not too distant future. That could be fun.
It's all I want. All I'm searching for.
There we go then. So I'm sure we'll see at least a really good title match out of it, and fingers crossed. You know, you've got over that hump of feeling like you maybe choke a little bit in big matches because you've just won that trick and treat briefcase. That's the start of big things now. So yeah, looking forward to seeing it. But I think we've gone on long enough. Thank you very much for coming on, and we'll see you guys next week for another episode of Chatty Tuesdays.